Hello. So, first of the month. Hopefully, you can see me on here. I'm just going to adjust this mask a bit and get it a bit more comfortable. But yeah, so I finally got a Canadian C4 thanks to one of the donators. Very nice mask. Is squishing my nose a little bit though. I think that's because my nose seems to be a bit too high in the oral nasal cup. What I really need to do is see if there's some way of getting the mask up like that a bit more. But yeah, it's a very cool mask, isn't it? All right, Mike. All right, Newt. Right, JH, you doing all right in Mexico? But yeah, for everybody who said the Canadian C4, it's a good mask. It certainly is a good mask. Although this is the old version in black, which was prone to like falling apart or whatever, all the adhesives not being good enough. The later ones are all green, but I'm just glad to have one. So I'll show you the inside of it. So it's the love child between an S10 and an M40, basically where the Canadians just took the best bits from the S10 and the best bit from the M40. But yeah, if you want to see the inside, if I get that wrong there, yeah, it's just pretty much, you know, very good field of vision. That's just the straps going back over the camera there. No, I don't think it does. That was the Department of Research or something, wasn't it? Ontario, the DREO bit thing. But I couldn't see that on mine. All I can see is CDN at the top, M. Some actual sort of bits there. C4, obviously no XL valve cover on the bottom bit. Yeah, and it's sort of S10 style lenses where you've got the clear bit there. Cool Tiny Monkey Gaming. But yeah, because I was looking on the gas mask wiki page for it, and I saw about, you know, the thing that was normally printed on the original ones. Like, there's the left side. Nothing on there by the look of it. There's the right side. So I can't see that sort of marking though. All right, Gretchen, see you later if you're on. Thankfully, Steve, all I had to pay was a bit of postage. One of the people who's been donating in the chats here managed to find one for me. So he just basically ordered it to his house, washed it, and then ordered it to me, and I just paid some of the postage to help cover it from the States. I started streaming 3 minutes ago. Yes, you can only donate €1 if you want to get on the Discord. €1 is enough. Or, to be honest, if somebody even donated $1 Zimbabwean dollar, I'd let them on, because I'd just be thrilled that I'd received $1 Zimbabwean dollar, even if it wasn't worth anything. But yeah. So hello, everybody. The problem with ventilators, apparently, is that if you have somebody on a ventilator, the issue with a ventilator is the longer they're on it, the less likely they are to recover, aren't they? Because it's one of those things, the more you're on it, the more your actual real lung muscles and everything deteriorate. So ventilators only really work if it's just to help somebody overcome an illness, and then you can get them off them as fast as possible. But if you're on a ventilator for months, you're pretty much, I think, going to end up as a vegetable. I don't mean that in a horrible way. It just seems to be like the way it is, you know, where there's very few people who can ever recover from being on a ventilator long term. So biohazard is putting a lot of symbols in there. So what's that? Biological hazard symbol, an exclamation mark like a warning sign, and a siren. Oh, look, I can hover over them and it actually says that. Biohazard, warning, police car light, construction. Okay. Yeah, it'd just be interesting. I kind of want one of those Zimbabwean dollar notes, though, Mr. Live Era, you know, one of the ones with a stupid load of money on it because of just super printing money. Not really Tesco, because I mean, even the asbestos in a GP5 filter is less harmful, I think, than getting coronavirus. If you didn't hear, yesterday we had the youngest death in the UK from it, a 13-year-old boy with no underlying health conditions. 13. It's a dosimeter, Bennett. I'll tell her. Like a Geiger counter. I managed to get some more of these on eBay. I'm sending Mike one in the post very soon. But loads of these, for some reason, on eBay are listed really cheaply, missing battery compartment covers. So you can actually make your own battery compartment covers. This is the one I bought that did have a proper cover. But they are actually really kind of simple. You just get a bit of wire, like, what do you call it? Like a paper clip. Unfold that, so it's just a bit like that, and then just tape it on the bottom, and you've basically built your own cover for these. But they're excellent for what they are. We'll just turn this one back on. It's just starting up. Yeah, so it will work out, obviously, current dose. And then you can also get it to show, well, that's just the screen. You can also get it to show, if I can get on that. I might have managed to reset it earlier, but it shows you a cumulative dose as well as, dose per hour. Let's put it back on the microsieverts now, I think. They didn't used to be Super Saiyan and Toby. It's just sadly, because obviously lots of people want them at the moment. All right, sorry, Amanda, for scaring your cats. But yeah, it's got quite a loud alarm on this if you have the alarm function on. But these were just quite good dosimeters that went really cheaply at one point. Because again, they're basically, like very to compare it size-wise to the Terra P. As you can see, they're actually pretty small. But it's basically got a very similar operating range to the Terra P. This does gamma radiation only, but the actual gamma range this goes up to is something like 2 sieverts, I think. It's pretty damn high. I'll flick this mask on so I look a bit less blue. Not mask on. Light on. Lamp. Let's just aim that down a bit. It's a bit bright in my face there. Yeah, if you include everybody that's not had a test regiv and who probably has it, and also, countries not giving out the real numbers, you're probably at a really high sort of thing. What are celebrities doing then, Unknown Russian, as in having a meltdown? I've not seen any of this. Yeah, I got a C4 White Wolf. That was the one I was just showing now, wasn't it? So Canadian C4. I think it says, yeah, C4 on the side somewhere, so it's not some weird derivative of it. But... Oh, what? Celebrity saying it's just a flu. On LBC now, if somebody calls in and says it's just the flu, they literally get cut off and told how much of an idiot they're being. To start with, they would actually discuss that with people, comparing it to flu deaths, like rate of infection, all that sort of stuff. But now, because of how serious it's getting, as soon as somebody tries to derail it, go, no, it's just a flu, they cut them off and tell them they're basically a fucking idiot, which is what you should be doing, I think, to people like that. If they still can't get it through their heads why something more infectious and more deadly than the common flu, that we've never seen before, there's no vaccine, there's no herd immunity to it, why that's a problem, Now, I can understand the people saying, I think we're going overboard a bit with containment measures. I think this hurts our civil liberties, or stuff like that. But when they say it's literally just the flu, no, it's not. Yeah, through the polycarbonate eye lenses and how it won't protect you. Oh, that's a shame, Bennett. Did they have underlying health conditions or not? Because I know there's been some children that have died in some places, but they had like underlying heart conditions and things like that. But yeah, I know now we're getting cases as well where there are people, who seem perfectly healthy. It's going to be very bad, Aldo, because if they don't have test kits, if they don't have good medical supplies, medical infrastructure, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to die. It's not going to be good. It's going to be bad in Western countries, but it's going to be a hell of a lot worse in, bits of Africa, bits of South America, bits of Asia. What, one sensible man, Tesco, in a supermarket, everybody else laughs at him being sensible. Geocaker, what you want to look for is either Mankung or Polang. They're the Taiwanese crossbow manufacturers. lots of crossbows you find for sale are actually just those crossbows rebranded under different names. So I'm afraid I don't know how much that's going to help you saying that, but if I flick the light on like that, yeah, it makes me a bit less blue, and it's also not shining in my face though yet. Right, good luck with that, Rich. Oh, that's pretty sick. 112, 523. No, Wandering Ranger, not man kung, as in like kung fu, you know, like Kung. Anglo arms, Steve, aren't actual domestically made crossbows. I'm pretty sure nearly all the Anglo arms ones are man kung and Polang crossbows. Let's have a look. Anglo arms crossbows. All right, Prepper Shop. All the Armex ones are Polang and man kung, by the way. Where's the... Yeah, the Anglo Arms ones are all Polang and man kung ones as well. And the EK Archery ones as well. Basically, man kung and Polang are the actual manufacturers of these crossbows. Lots of companies basically just rebrand them. All right, cool, Steve. Yeah, as long as they're a good price, it doesn't matter. It's just the problem is obviously sometimes what happens there is they put the price up like by 50% or something just simply because it's got a new sticker on it. Yeah, I know Todd's Workshop. No, what's Mexico doing, Eli? They have less cases than the US, don't they? Really, Aussie Prepper? What time is it in Australia at the moment? Is it early morning? But I know a lot of Australian viewers, though, before have asked me to stream midday UK time, so it's in the evening there. But I suppose at the moment, they're not. Most of them probably aren't at work, are they? Because they're told not to go to work. Cheers, the Sparrow. He said, "Here, bud, have 2,239.65 Zimbabwean dollars on the current exchange rate to GDP of fiver. Thanks. At some point on eBay, I'll have to see if I can find the Zimbabwean notes because you can probably get them in a picture frame, can't you?" Oh yeah, if we get any of the Illuminati very weird people in the streams, they're probably just going to get blocked in all honesty because I'd like to know what's going on with people's lives and answer questions for them, not discuss which demonic god babies are sacrificed for. You know, I find the Bogdanov stuff funny because it's just people with horrible plastic surgery that, you know, really fucked up. You know, and then people making a conspiracy out of them. That's obviously a joke. But when there's people that literally think, you know, Tony Blair or something drinks baby's blood while, you know, conjuring up demons, you know, I think it's a bit pointless to waste time on that on the stream, don't you? Now, I thought of something with goggles steaming up. I don't know how well it would work. If you got silica gel, because I've got a shitload of silica gel at the moment, just because I bought a load for putting in ionization chambers, could you put a little silica gel pack inside a pair of goggles, like taped in? Would that stop them fogging up? I'm just kind of thinking of that, because will it just absorb the moisture out of the air inside? I'm all right, White Wolf. My swollen gland on the neck has finally gone down to the size where it isn't like a golf ball anymore and constantly, you know, aching. So at the moment, I've been quite good in terms of, you know, feeling a lot more alert and less lethargic and all that. That's a shame, Jingle Joe. But yeah, I've got a big bag of silica gel in my car because it stops the windscreen fogging up, you know, like during a few hours of having just a car. Thank you, Tenny Army Barbie. You said the USA did the most testing, sure it's going to show. Well, I mean, yeah, the USA is obviously, the more you test, the more results you get, and obviously that's why we saw the USA numbers jump up. But at the moment, the UK is barely testing, even though we know very well there's a lot of cases. Also, the UK is not providing personal protective equipment to doctors, and they're saying, oh, it's on its way. You know, well, that's helpful, isn't it? Constantly telling them it's on its way, but not having it arrive. Yeah. Like what Arnold Grimace says, if you're testing, though, the best time to do it is test as soon as possible and contact trace. There's kind of, you know, a bolting the gate after, or, you know, closing the gate after the horse has bolted, whatever the expression is. Or if you leave testing too late, it's a bit pointless because it's basically telling you how fucked you are, but you're not preventing any further damage. All right, Tumbo? Although the testing they were saying about, which is like antibody testing, should be very useful because it lets people at least get back into the healthcare system once they know they've had it and have recovered. No, what's the thing about the ventilators, Enfield? I know there's lots of things about ventilators that are discussed in various countries, but what particular thing was it on ventilators? Yeah, it's kicking the can down the road of it's never arriving, but yeah, just give it a few more days, give it a few more days. Yeah, Simpfrost, I'd agree with you there. The problem is the countries that have done very well, comparatively, obviously, you have to say that comparatively, because it's still tragic, you know, wherever you get it, and deaths and all those sort of things, were certainly the countries that, you know, encouraged mask wearing in public very early on. You know, did it very aggressive contact tracing. So if somebody had it, they checked, you know, who they'd been in contact with, you know, shut down flights early, or you had to go into quarantine once you got off a flight. The UK started doing that, and then it seemed like we were doing a good job, and then all of a sudden it's like they decided, well, we're not going to bother anymore, and then it went to shit. All right, Ahmed, where are you in the Mediterranean? I've got a big beer here early. Not earlier, David. Sorry, I've got a big beer here, David, so I don't blame you. What bit was it I read out that was from Arnold Rimmer then, Mike? Which was the line? I want to see this now because you. What, testing early pays off more? Was it that line? I'm a bit confused now. All right. I can't remember Henry without getting it out, and I think it's in one of the cupboards, but it's probably a size 2 or 3 because that's what I normally buy, like Soviet helmet style masks in. All right, Tesco, that's interesting. I know there's a lot of anti-fog paste, so I was just wondering about silica gel because I had it. Yeah, the best thing you can get, I found, is like that. You know, the stuff you can buy off Amazon or in sports stores, which is like spray-on stuff or like wipe-on stuff. That's designed so you just like wipe it on the inside and then it's like an anti-fog layer. It's a lot less smelly and kind of weird than the old dim pastes they used to put in mask bags. I don't quite get Alma J Fap how they're killing elderly people, but I don't like telemarketers, but I don't quite understand what they're doing. Why are they sending out the elderly? What? I'm very confused now. Yeah, Caleb, I've not had one for years, despite years of wanting one, and then only eventually got one because one of the people that donated managed to find somebody he knew that actually had a couple. Yep, Israeli masks are 40mm, so NATO filters will work absolutely fine in them. It could be one of the things that charcoal is impregnated with being on the Bible. I don't know. It's hard to say, but in general, because charcoal is impregnated inside filters to make them cover more gases, it could easily be that. But I don't know. I've noticed some filters have a slight odor to them, but nothing really off-putting. But I guess it is just something the filter's treated with, or like a plastic or metal used in the filters a bit, has a bit of a smell. But, I don't actually know, in all honesty, off the top of my head, what that could be. Right, a GOST filter. Good Cat's no adverts is this type of filter the Warsaw Pact and Soviet Union used. It's 40 millimeter thread. It's a different version of the 40 millimeter thread than, say, NATO filters. So when people say GOST versus NATO and all that, what they're on about is filter thread pitch and all that sort of stuff. It's kind of hard to explain unless you look at loads of filters and then kind of understand. But you know how if you have a light bulb, they can be bayonet or they can be screw. Imagine having two types of screw light bulbs, but they didn't all work in the same sockets. Yeah, it's a Warsaw Pact standardization, Cliff Racer, but it's, again, when you put somebody else you on the spot to explain it, it's a bit like, oh. Not many places, Jack, unless you're getting old filters. Some Czech filters are still GOST. I think Maskpol probably still does some GOST filters, and Russia still makes GOST filters, but they don't export them. Some Chinese companies still do GOST filters, but most of the world has abandoned GOST. No, I didn't, Tesco, but it sounds pretty horrific, and enough people have said about it. But it doesn't surprise me. Maybe that was... I've just had a bit of a grim thought, and this isn't a joke, this is just where I'm thinking. Do you think that could be one of the political dissidents that was, like, blogging from Wuhan that, got disappeared? Could very well have been, couldn't it? Just shove them in a bag and put them in a furnace. Fucking commies. Yeah, the thumbnail is the C4 gas mask. About £20, I think, Textor. But I only had to pay half for, like, the postage. It was a donator that sent it me. Yeah, it's a very good excuse, isn't it, Rajiv, if there's a pandemic or whatever, to get rid of people under emergency lockdowns and then later on claim they probably just died of the virus. That would be a good idea, Hoodwink, in all honesty. Again, most people never mention it, but it would be sensible to do that, I think. Sadly, not hands, or not as much as they should be. It depends, Calvert. Again, we were talking about this on Discord the other day. It depends how strict you want to be with words. Because if you were being very scientific, you'd say NATO, DIN, or GOST, wouldn't you? So I think normalised, when a lot of people say that, they mean DIN, and that's probably what I essentially mean when I say it. Thank you, Tenny Army Barbie. Where's the link? Have you... Oh, okay, sorry, yeah, there we go. Let me copy and paste that in. There's one I got which was useless, so let me check that one. Right, that looks like the one I've got which was useless, in all honesty. I don't know if I've got it visible in here anywhere, or it might be in another room, but if you didn't see the video I did a while ago on the GOST to NATO thing, it looks like that one just with an O-ring put in it. It might work with an O-ring, but when I put O-rings in it myself and tested it, it was useless. Yeah, I had to import it from the USA. So I would avoid that one personally unless a lot of people have reviewed them. Somebody on the Discord server has actually 3D printed one and has sent me one to test, so when that arrives I'll let you know if that's any good. I've not played Metro Exodus. I've played Metro 2033 and Last Light, and I'm not a massive fan of them. Should we talk about Stalker instead? But that's got nothing to do with streams, has it? Yes, Intel nerd. Not anything really high tech. The best thing I've got is this one, a Pulsar. This is Gen 1 Plus. Well, it's that way round, isn't it, when it's on the helmet mount? I've played about with some Gen 2 ones I was able to borrow for a while, and they were really cool. But and I've got some digital night vision that's quite basic and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I do like night vision, but sadly I've barely been out to use any for a while. Yes, Textorm. I'd rather be stuck in my house playing video games than basically being infected, because if everybody gets infected, then we'll all somehow survive. I don't know, Pete. There's probably no numbers on that. I mean, I suppose they could, if you had a confirmed test, you could look up and see if they've had it. But it's hard to know, isn't it, really? Unless you actually did like a cross-reference sort of survey. What's that in the background? That looks like a katana, doesn't it? And there's a saber next to it. Yeah, plumbing tape tennis can be used for that sort of stuff. I also bought a load of that stuff the other person recommended. You know, like that masticky kind of filling stuff. It's not mastic. It's I think it's some sort of plumbing pipe sealant stuff. But he recommended it for like getting a NATO filter, putting that on the filter thread, screwing it into a gas mask, and it makes a really good seal. I bought some, but I haven't actually done a video on it yet. Sadly, I don't have any outserts for the CT12. No White Wolf. Jan, thank you very much. He said, got a Draeger M65. I'm going to get some RD40. Good idea. Yep. Draeger M65 is 40mm NATO. Or they might even be DIN. So, yeah, any 40mm filters will work. But, yeah, as long as your Draeger M65 fits you properly, get any filter that's in date, you'll be fine. Let me look at the 3M6200. Is that the one with the like little gate on the front? If so, no, that's not the one with the gate on the front. If it's like a 3M6000 half face mask or whatever, you can get the particle one for it. Yeah, let me show you what I mean. I don't know if I'll be able to show you any of these in stock. But there's a couple of different types. There's the 3M2135 disc filters. There's that sort of thing. And there's also the ones I really like, which is the 3M6035 filters, which are like P3 filters in a little case. I'm just trying to... Right, of course, this is horrifically overpriced on this site. So I'm not going to recommend you buy this, because obviously this is horrifically overpriced. It works out £50 a filter. But see that thing? That's like the ones I'm on about that are very good. Thank you, Neb Chebnazar. He said, what's up? No increases of fraudulent COVID cases. How do you mean? What, like as in they're checking them properly or whatever? I don't know. They need test kits, though, don't they, to check them properly. And thank you to Rock TV. I don't know if I ever actually have Druid. I think that got asked before on a stream. I've only ever seen the ones for, you know, the filter on the left side for like right-handed shooters, right-eye dominant shooters. But I don't know if they'd exist or not. I mean, I know most Soviet masks obviously take the filter at the bottom, don't they? Yeah, as I've said, Mil and Civ before, as much as I don't like the M10, if you've got filters that are sealed properly and they're in good condition and you put them in and they fit properly, they will protect you. No, I'm not using OBS because it doesn't integrate very well with YouTube anymore, sadly, Elmer. I'm just using YouTube's own streaming thing, which is literally you select your microphone and your webcam from a drop-down list, and then it's all integrated. If I use OBS, the streams lag about 20 seconds behind what I'm seeing, which is really frustrating for answering questions. Whereas if you use the YouTube thing, because it's doing it all through its own server, it's pretty up to date. Hello, Outrix. What's 2FA? But two-factor authentication. Oh, do you mean on the Discord? So that's fine. But yeah, all right. Incense certainly works, Calvit. Because I used incense the other day before to test a filter. But you can use banana oil, yeah, perfumes, deodorants. There's lots of things you can use to get a rough idea if something's working or not. You just have to bear in mind, make sure what you're using is something the filters should stop. Because if you're spraying something in the air that would go through your filter anyway, it's not going to tell you if the mask and filter's working. It's a bit like saying, if you bought some body armor and then tested it by shooting it with something the body armor's not rated to stop, it's not really a fair test, unless you're doing it out of pure curiosity. Yeah, I've got a load of Yorkshire tea in the cupboard, mad lad. I quite like some of the Twinings weird blends, but in terms of, proper tea, Yorkshire tea. Assuming it's in good condition, RC Guy, and it fits you properly and all that, and you put the proper filter on it, yes. Only if it's in good condition, Joe. The problem is, and it's an actual MP5, lots of the French masks get sold interchangeably as MP5s now. And quite often, they haven't aged well through storage. IP5 rebreathers are rebreathers. They don't work as regular masks. If you needed it for a rebreather and you had a modern scrubber unit on it, it might be all right. If you were trying to use a rebreather to protect you from coronavirus, that's going to go very badly wrong. If it's a vapor filter wire, you can smell through it. If it's a particulate filter, it gets so clogged you struggle to breathe through it. I'll have to try Yorkshire Gold at some point. I've never tried Yorkshire Gold. I just normally get the Yorkshire Red label sort of box. Yeah, Twining Strong Breakfast is very good, Ron. I do like that. Stormhunter says, is my exhale valve broken if I can smell scents coming through it? Is there any way to fix it? I'm using an MP5, by the way. If you've obviously got a filter that will stop the scents coming through, let's say like an actual CBRN filter, not a particle filter, and you're using banana oil and you can smell the smell coming through the exhale valve, it means, yeah, there's a broken exhale valve. Do you know how to take the thing off to check the exhale valve on the MP5? There's a little plastic tab on the side. You pull that, it unclips off, and then you can get at the valve. I know of it, Turok. Sadly, I don't have one, but it does look cool. You don't have to keep asking the question loads and loads of times, but in regards to the M90, I don't have one. I like the look of it. I've never tried it. I wish it was an April Fool's thing. Line, dash, dash, whatever your name is, but sadly, it's been going on longer than April the 1st, hasn't it? Have I ever been to Harrogate? I'm not actually sure. Harrogate, town in England. Have I been there? Where is it on the map? Let's have a look. It's in North Yorkshire. I could have been, but when I last went to Yorkshire properly, it was quite a long time ago when I was quite young, so I can't actually remember. Depends on the condition of the mask, eye drink soap, and availability of filters. If personally it was between a brand new 3M mask and an old German M65, I go for the 3M mask. If it's picking either one up very cheaply as surplus, if you got an M65 that fits you properly, I'd rather go with the M65. Oh, the Soviet PTM masks, are you looking at those, or are you looking at the Y2K masks? If you mean a Chernobyl style mask, they're called U2Ks or Y2Ks, depending on the sort of thing you look at. But these are the very basic Soviet dust mask type things, Y2Ks. If I can get the straps sorted correctly. There we go. Yeah, Y2Ks. The PTMs are the weird, like, cloth hood ones up there. Well, it's just a very basic particle mask. It's like an N95 mask, basically, the Soviets made, but I might have had that on upside down. No, that was the right way up, wasn't it? But yeah, the reason these are quite nice is because they were reusable. You know, so they designed them so the inside wouldn't fog up and become unusable like a disposable N95. So they were just very cheap, you know, essentially dust masks. Well, RC Guy, here's the thing I've said before about Yugo M1s. There's my other one. Yugo M1s are fine, provided they're in good enough condition. The issue is a lot of them aren't in good condition. Not to really take my glasses off first for these, but... Yeah, the problem with these is the strap system's a bit weird. Because the straps are designed so... Oh, yeah, this is the one I've got, isn't it? Which only has one strap, I think. Yeah. So this one's even less secure because it's just literally a single strap that goes... Probably, I guess, it's meant to go just behind your ears like that. Well, I suppose you could wear it like that. That's probably how it's meant to be worn, but... You know, they're not... As you can see, though, it does pressurize. Thank you, Mill and Civ. But yeah, regarding M61s, I'll read your comment in a second, Mill and Civs. Not M61s, Yugo M1s or Yugo M59s. They're not very good masks. If it's still in good enough condition that it works and you put a modernish filter on it via a 60 to 40mm converter, they would work, but they're like one of my least recommended masks just because they have a habit of melting or, you know, like having very badly made screw threads and things like that. So Mill and Civ, thank you very much. So correction officers in Ohio, USA. The ODRC has approved using our own respirators gas masks inside the prison. Love your channel advice. Cool. So do you get to wear what you want to wear? But I'm glad you find the videos helpful. But that's good at least if they're letting you wear it. Because the problem I've heard that's a bit fucked up in some jobs is even if staff have their own PPE equipment, like they've been able to buy it separately, some companies are saying, no, you can't wear it while you work here. Even though it's like essential workers that you need there and you need them not to get sick. The company's not providing PPE, but they're also told, no, you can't even bring your own PPE in. So they're basically saying, no, you have to risk infection every day at work. And Johannes Guida says, we have to wear masks when going into supermarkets. What country are you in? But yeah, I think that's a good policy. It's certainly better than here, where some sensible people wear masks and then other people go, look at that weirdo with a mask on. And then they get the idiots on the TV to parrot that masks only work if you're a doctor somehow. And again, doctors should definitely be provided with working masks, but masks don't have magical properties based on who's wearing them. Oh, you're in Austria. Yeah, I think some of my Czech viewers have been saying that the Czech Republic, or Czechia, whichever one you want to call it, has been doing a similar thing, where basically, you know, you have to wear a mask in public. You know, they're doing that sort of thing. So people are encouraged to wear the old surplus masks, which is pretty cool. Commie Hunter, thank you very much. He says, if you need to wear a gas mask when shit hits the fan, should you prioritize wearing more gear for survivability or less to minimize your profile? Well, as in like the grey man stuff. Part of the problem as well, I think, you know, what's the word for being able to move around easily? Like agility, maneuverability. Because the problem I found with like heavier gear as well, some of the military stuff, is it makes you quite bulky and not able to move all that well. So it's like with all the plate carriers I've got, the British ECBA is still my favourite because you can move around in it very easily and it doesn't restrict your movement or throw your centre of balance off much, where the heavier plate carriers do that. So I don't know if that answers your question slightly, but I suppose you do want to minimise how visible you are unless things have gone really, really bad where, you know, everybody might be trying to kill each other anyway. And again, I'm not really a prepper, so I'm not the best channel to ask about this. But I would say always go for gear that you're comfortable wearing and doesn't slow you down much. Because again, with like the really big plate carriers, if again, although they weigh more, even if they are covering more of your torso, the problem is if you're exhausted quite easily, you know, and can't move very fast, somebody could just shoot you in the legs, I guess, couldn't they? So, you know. And the problem is there's always things like when people say, yeah, but that armor can't stop this armor can't stop that, is no matter what armor you're going to wear, there's always going to be stuff that can penetrate it. So it's all about what's right for the scenario where people are wearing it. Hopefully that's answered your question. Don't Matter said, what's the newest night vision you can own in the UK? As far as I'm aware, there's no limits on it. So Gen 3 you could get as long as you can find it for sale, you can own it. There's nothing in the UK saying, you can't own it past a certain generation or anything like that. I think it is literally just, whatever you can find for sale. Right. Let me get back up to the chat then. Sorry if I missed anybody's questions or whatever. Discord is Mill and Civ, basically, like I think it originated as a gaming chat program. It just becomes a very easy place to run a chat room. So you can have people on it and they can post images or videos or like text chat or do voice chat. So it's just an easy way for if people want to talk about a shared interest, you can create one that's tailored to that interest. Yeah, what Shrimps who said, body armor won't protect against the virus, but I think other people are worried about some of the other stuff that might happen, due to breakdown going on with coronavirus. Right, let me have a look now, Altrix. Sorry, I didn't have it open earlier. I closed it. Right, thank you, Altrix. You don't have to keep donating now if you don't want to. Right, that's absolutely fine. What you said, Altrix, I've just replied to you to confirm it. But yeah, I won't say what is out loud on here. But yeah, you have my full approval. There is one. Jan, you've donated. Post your Discord ID. If you've donated, just simply post an ID. I don't know. It's a mad, mad world, isn't it, John? I actually have to say, as much as a lot of people might not like me saying this on here, because I did get some abuse of saying it the other day, Cuomo, or whatever he's called, I think in New York, seems to be doing a really good job. And whenever I've listened to his press conferences, he actually seems to be outlining what he's trying to do, who needs to do what. Yeah, your name and tag. There's a bit on Discord, Jan, you can actually click and it copies and pastes it directly for you. Well, not paste it, but, copies it into the clipboard. So when you paste it, it will be exactly right, like lower cases and upper cases, spaces and all that. But the problem is we're having in the UK, say, for example, with our press conferences, because they're doing them remotely now, right? They don't have the people in the room anymore. They're doing remotely, to lower infection risk. Right, thank you, Jan. I'll add you now. What ends up happening is a reporter asks a question, sometimes a very, very important question. It doesn't like your name. It says, oh wait, it's worked that time. Okay, first time I pressed enter, it didn't work. Second time I pressed enter, it did work. The magic of Discord. PM me as soon as you get that accepted invite, and then I'll invite you to the server. But yeah, so what's going on? The politicians will basically weasel their way out of asking a question, and no more reporters can basically ask that question because they've been cut off the line as soon as they've asked a question. So for the last several press conferences in a row, there's been questions about PPE gear. And what's the other one? PPE and test kits. They will get asked about those things, PPE and test kits, and every single time the politicians will do a word salad, not answer the question, and, like 3 days in a row, they've been asked these same questions and they just don't directly answer them. I know, when can you tell a politician is lying because their lips are moving, that old expression. That's really what's fucking going on in these UK press conferences. They're beyond the joke now. What did he say about that? I've not heard it, Ron. But thank you, Logic. He said, does rubbing alcohol damage a GP5? No, it shouldn't do at all. I've used it a lot before to clean GP5s and it's never damaged them. It's my everyday carry, and I don't want it to split open somewhere. Now, it's certainly not going to split the rubber. The most easily way you can damage a GP5 is leaving it out in the sun, because especially the white sort of grey latex ones, they go brown very easily and then start to crack. Or, you know, if you leave the metal bits in the damp too long, where they start to rust. But I've never had any damage done to my GP5 with rubbing alcohol. But yeah, the UK press conferences at this point, there's no point even listening to them, because all it is them saying how much of a good job they're doing, and whenever a question gets raised about stuff where they're failing, they just pretend they didn't hear it or don't answer the question. Tesco says, any advice on getting rid of musty smell of older gas masks? Try soaking it in soapy water, but no dice. You could use something a bit stronger like TCP, Tesco. Be very careful if it's a valuable old mask, because obviously you don't want to damage it. But in terms of getting rid of smells I found on old gas masks, soak them in something like TCP, you know, watered down TCP disinfectant. Best way to clean cheek filter masks. Take the filters out the pockets, Guero, so it's just the mask itself. Dunk it in a sink full of warm soapy water or warm water with a disinfectant on. And then you should see a load of shit basically break off the mask over time where it soaks. Also, Tesco, if it still smells after one soaking, you sometimes have to do several soakings, just because sometimes it just takes a while, I guess, for whatever's causing the odours inside to break down and come out. Ron, that's interesting. We're having a similar issue apparently in the UK with test kits, where Wales, Scotland, England, and I think Northern Ireland, and there might be some other areas as well, all have to compete against each other to get stock. So what the government's having to do now, apparently, is buy all the test kits and then distribute them based on population and need for them, because you basically can't trust the politicians at a local level to do it, because, you know, they'll outbid or try and, you know, it's all the same bullshit, isn't it, all around the world? Like, some people saying it brings out the best and worst in some people. Some people are volunteering for free, you know, to give out, you know, food supplies, first aid supplies, you know, do all that stuff. And then other people are just trying to drive up prices, even if it costs people's lives. Yeah, you know. That's a good point, Mill and Steve. He said Windexes work great for cleaning my masks. Yeah, good point. What's ornery? It's a fancy word, Altrix. I don't know what it means. I have to look it up. There you go. Bad-tempered or difficult to deal with. An example would be an ornery old military man, right? So grumpy or miserable, basically. But yeah, I know a lot of companies and like politicians, as you're saying, that would describe them, wouldn't it? Where they're getting less and less direct every time they're asked about it. The thing is, if I had a local NHS doctor's office type thing, and I could donate them some masks, I could do it. But it seems there's no way to even directly do that, and this is a frustrating thing. Because I've got a lot of these masks I don't particularly need. As I've said before, I've given out some to friends and family. If I could give a load of the respirators, so doctors could use them, clean them down, reuse them, that'd be a great thing to do. But sadly, it doesn't even seem there's a way of doing that. You know, because like it was some doctors were saying, they're not being provided PPE, and they're not being allowed to even bring their own masks in, even if they can find them. There's a training spear behind me there. Yeah, it's a training spear, so it's got, you know, like the blunt head. Wow, Guy, my favourite gas mask is the Avon CT12. I won't put that on right now, but I will put on the Canadian C4 again, because that's a very new addition. Edgar's, the military version, yes. The civilian version, no. The military version uses a blanking plug on the side you're not using, so you can just take that off and dual filter it. There we go. No, I'm not going to put a GP5 on. This is far more interesting than a GP5. Don't you want to see a really cool Canadian mask with bug eye lenses? Not really, Nate. It's only really the particle bit that becomes difficult to breathe through when it becomes saturated. Charcoal just means you'll start smelling things. I think it looks cool. Yeah, I like head harnesses like this. It's actually really comfy because it's just like a bit of cotton, really, a bit of either nylon or cotton. That's just, like that. Well, I think they're doing it the right way round, Samuel. I think the worst thing would be if there's a pandemic going on, if a country made it illegal to wear a mask. So if they're doing the thing, if you're not wearing a mask when you're out in public, you get a fine or whatever, I think that's a good way to go. Because again, it slows down the rate of transmission, doesn't it? Altrick said, Myra can die. That's his quote, not mine. But I know the CEO of Myra gets butthurt in YouTube comments to people. It's a bit like Trump's tweets just on a YouTube comment where the head of a respirator company gets angry at people who collect masks for pointing out that they're not actually Myra's own masks or whatever. Yeah, I wouldn't pay that from Ron. Oh, my decimeter just beeped. It wasn't really saying anything interesting. I wonder, was it logging a certain amount of radiation when it beeps? I've always wondered. I figured out why it beeps. It's every time it logs a full microsiever, it does a beep. Right, that's cool. Because I've had these for ages, and what I never got with these was sometimes, you could have them sitting on the shelf or something, and you just hear it beep every now and then. You think, why would it beep? And it's just, every time it logs one microsiever, it beeps. Cool. And I suppose it's because, one microsiever is like 5 to 10 hours of background radiation, isn't it? So it's when you're wearing it during your shift, if you're working somewhere. That makes sense. Completely nothing to do with coronavirus. I was just found that interesting. So this beeps every time it gets to one microsiever. That's interesting. Right, cool. So if I put it next to some of my very strong samples, it would go beep, 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 because it'd be logging microsieverts pretty quickly. Yeah, David, as long as you're somewhere where you're not going to get punished because you can't get a mask, but if it's one of the places where a government hands you out a mask and says you have to wear it and then you choose not to, I don't blame people for getting fined for that. During the Spanish flu, everybody had to wear masks, even if it was just like cotton wrapped around their face. And supposedly somebody got shot in one, it was at like Chicago or somewhere, by a cop, because the guy was out on public transport and there was a law about putting your masks on. And they said to him, put a mask on. They might have even handed him one. He said no. And they're like, we're warning you, put your mask on. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it. So they just pulled out a gun and shot him. So, bit extreme. But when you have a contagion that deadly, people taking the piss probably, Oh, yeah, that's the thing, Sing. There was a thing on LBC. They were saying that. I'll go to the Nintendo Boys comment and I'll go back to that. He said, well, that's a pretty cool mask and a thumbnail. Yeah, Canadian C4. Very cool, weird Canadian military mask where it's like the love child of an M40 and an S10. Use the M40's better voice diaphragms. Use the S10 style lenses where they curve around, but they're a bit more bug-eyed on this. Because that's the thing they did on this look. You've actually got a clear bit on the side. That's why the lenses look weird, because the lens shape is actually kind of like that. But Canadian C4 is a really cool mask. Lovely head harness. But because that was the thing they were thinking earlier on. They were mentioning this for a while, but they said that on LBC last night when they were interviewing a virologist. She said that basically, the more you're exposed to the virus, the worse it's going to be, because it's kind of an exposure thing. Where they were thinking it's a case of, the more viral microbes, or whatever they're called, that get into your lungs or respiratory tract, the faster the virus can reproduce initially. So and that's the same reason why wearing a mask with a filter is good. Because even if you assume some of the virus gets through the filter, you're still massively cutting the percentage down. So let's say there's somebody coughing next to you and you're breathing in. If you're breathing in and somebody's coughing next to you with no mask on, and you get like 100% of the expelled virus that's near you, compared to with a mask with a 99.7% filter, and then assume that only like 0.3% gets through, you're going to, massively cut it down. Right, I will do, Altrix, thank you, but yeah. So Nintendo Boy said, well, that's a pretty cool mask and thumbnail. Saw that one. Thank you, Nintendo Boy. I might have missed the other one. What do you mean on Discord? I can't see the other one. No, not Discord. Can you just copy and paste the message, Altrix? I can't see the thing. I can only see the Nintendo Boys thing I read out. I'm just scrolling up the thing. Or specifically you, Chris, pissing off Myra. Oh, Weapon Collector said from Samuel Cardillo, hey everybody, hey weapons and stuff. I am quickly passing by to say that Netanyahu, that's the Israeli, is the Prime Minister or President, I can't remember, the Israeli leader, just did a speech saying that it's now illegal to be in a public space without a mask. Very interesting. Oh, Altrix said, don't lie, how much of the money I've given have you used on alcohol and Geiger counters? Probably quite a bit. Do you not came in the post today? I'm not drunk yet. But yeah, I had another one of these arrive. Just because when they're cheap, I keep buying them. This one had calibration documents with it. Right, we're really going off topic for the stream now, but I've not put batteries in this yet, so I do need to put some batteries in to test it. But so there's the actual MD3 unit or upgraded Mark II Radiac. Right, I will do Shrimp Zoo. You might have to remind me again, but I will certainly watch it. Oh, there's some weird oil on this. I'll probably wipe this down properly outside of the case. But yeah, probably preservative oil. But again, lovely clicky switches. Yeah, so the MD3. It's an iron chamber, not a Geiger. So it came with the basic user operating card. I love how in the old Mark II Radiacs, this was an actual booklet, and now it's just a card always in the MD3. So there is an on-off switch. That's what it does. And there is a range switch. That's what that does. And it says you should get that in there. So let's see. Have I got all these bits? Meter dose rate MD3 assembly. Yep. Haversack number 6. I guess that's the vinyl bag. Screwdriver. It's not a real screwdriver. It's like a weird metal tool, but I've got that. And plate identification. Yes, that's in there. And it uses two 1.5 volts quantity 2. And it says, warning, switch instrument off before replacing batteries. But yeah, the more important bit that came with this one, which was interesting, was some more calibration documents, which I always like when they come with these. So this one is the one I liked because it says about them using cesium-137 to calibrate the thing. So what you can see there, for example, is the isotope, cesium-137. They used different amounts. There was a thing where they used the air Kerma rate is the amount that they're using basically in the air, a bit like a radiotherapy type thing to calibrate it. So they used 5, 10, 25, 50, 250, and 350 milligray. So take a 0 off of each one and then it's centigrade. So it says there 10 milligray equals 1 centigrade. So the 350 milligray would be, say, 35 centigrade. So when they used 5 milligray, it read 5 milligray. When they used 10 milligray, it read 10 milligray. When they used 25, it read 26. When they used 50, it read 50. When they used 250, it read 260. When they used 350, it read 330. So yeah, all very good in terms of calibration. So for those of you that don't know, 350 milligray, that'd be 35 centigrade. That's just over 35 Rontgen. Because 1 centigrade is 1.14 Rontgen. But there was another page of calibration notes, which was very interesting. And this, as I thought, was interesting. Like they have to sign a form to say they're borrowing it from the MOD to calibrate it. Yes, I've got a Finish M61. I like it very much. Finish M61 was the first ever gas mask I owned. But yeah, the this one was, they had calibrated in 1999. The weird thing is they kept these in service until like the early 2000s. Or I think only some of them came out of service quite recently. But yeah, if you're in the UK, there's still some of these on eBay, and I would highly recommend them because they are really nice old. They're the old Mark II Radiacs for the people that don't know, where they just put more modern circuitry in them and then put them in centigrades, not Rontgen. And then you can run them off as normal D cells rather than the weird old obsolete batteries. Right, Gretchen, I'll still be on for another 5 or 10 minutes. Sadly, Ties, even if I could give you a source, you can't buy them at the moment. The reason being, Russia has banned PPE exports because they're using them for themselves. Let me see if I've got a battery, because I've not tried turning this one on yet. Oh yeah, and it's got one of the stickers on it saying calibration is void if you break that C off. But yeah, let me get some D cells. If I've got some spare D cells, which I should do somewhere. Which of my detectors have I had out recently that uses D cells? Right, I'm not going to be using this one in a hurry, so let me grab. It's not too dissimilar from one of these, by the way, CDV 715s and 720s, because both of these are ionization chambers. There's not really CSAT because most of them use activated charcoal. But in theory, right. And just seal this one back up and let's test the thing. Thank you, Mr. Livera, for sorting out for people who didn't know our MOB. But yeah, PPE is personal protective equipment. You'll hear that word being mentioned a lot on the news and stuff at the moment because the scandalous thing is doctors and frontline people do not have PPE in most Western countries, even though they need it to do their job safely. But, you know, that's the world we live in, isn't it? So, one of these. Let's give it a test, shall we? No, at the moment, Russia isn't exporting anything. Oh, yeah, one of the things that goes with these over time, look, is you'll see the rubber O-rings are pretty much dead in there. But I'll just bin these O-rings when I get these covers off. I'm not going to be dropping it in water anyway. But yeah, the O-rings have just decayed due to age. What's in the box, Elmer? If you're on about this, this is a MD3. And then we're going to give it a test in a moment. But yeah, see, this O-ring's totally fucked. Yeah, let's take both these O-rings off. If I want to, I can always put new O-rings on there. Right. Let's see if this MD3 still works. I hope it does. If not, I'll just salvage it for parts. But because these were a good price on eBay recently, I wanted to pick some more up because I fucking love these old ion chambers that still work. Oh, by the way, for the people who are new to radiation stuff, ion chambers aren't Geiger counters. They're a bit different. Both measure radiation. There's pros and cons to each type. Lots of people incorrectly refer to everything as Geiger counters, but these are actually ion chambers. So let's turn it on. Oh, right, so that works. Circuit test is working because the needle's gone across. Right, let's turn it on. Right, it's maxing out at the moment. So that's interesting. Why is it maxing out? If I put it on the top scale, it doesn't. Right, let me go to the set 0 bit first, and I'll set the 0. Tesco, yes, I can link you. Let me post it on eBay. I hope the seller's still got some in stock. I don't think they're guaranteed to work because he said they're all untested, but he's like wholesaling them. They're just listed on UK eBay as Geiger counter, but I've bought 3 recently, so I won't be buying any more. And as in, I own 3. But yeah, he's still got, oh, it's more than 10 available, 17 sold. So I guess this seller had a few hundred of them. But there you go. Right, so for Tesco, I'm just going to at you. There you go. But for £35, these are a fucking steal if you can get them working. Because these are really nice actual units. So let me just sort the 0 out on this one. Right, that's the 0 put back. The 0 won't look right if I'm holding it up like this anyway, because they're meant to be 0 flat like I was just doing. But right, does the lamp work in this one? That's another question. Not by the look of it to start with. Let me just see if I can get the lamp working by twisting this. Yeah, the lamp works now. Right, I've got the lamp inside working. These are quite hard to display on camera, but I don't know if you can see that the lamp... That's the wrong dial. See that? Lamp off and on. So the lamp works now. So let's work out why the needle keeps going off the scale. Yeah, it's going down a bit. Yeah, that's not as high as it once was. So it could be, unless they've accidentally left a calibration source in here, and I'd be very happy if they had, because I will harvest it, but I think it's more likely it just needs re-zeroing, like properly, me playing about with a screwdriver on taking that calibration control bit off. But that bit seems fine. Check your joke, Altric said. What did Altric say is his joke? Yeah. Well, I joked about that with the old Radiacs. Right, these versions do take decels. Thank you, Ricardo. The problem was the older ones, see those Mark II Radiacs on the shelf, because these were the Radiacs that they just put new circuitry in. These basically have modern circuitry. The old Mark II Radiacs required decels, a 15 volt, or I think it was a 9 volt and a 30 volt battery. And they went in using a weird thing like this. This bit sat in between those bits. It was like in there. Haven't you watched any of my videos, Altrix, where I've taken those out of old Geigers? The Scott FRR does bushcraft, because the Scott FRR is the GSR, but 40mm by default, not 40mm hidden under the adapters. No, I'm not getting the Finish M61 down now. I'll be off the stream fairly soon. I'm just trying to see if I can get this working. So yeah, what I'm trying to figure out first is why the range on this is up. Let me just reset it by putting a screwdriver onto the ion chamber. Let me just power surge it and see if that fixes it. No, I didn't do it. Right. For anybody wondering, I'll show the inside and then I'll finish the stream. What? Do you find it more useful, Gretchen, me talking about random shit online than an actual therapy person? Doctor. I'm not a doctor. That'd be quite bad. I'm not very qualified. Right, I'll watch you on Twitch later, Mike. I'll make sure I'm around. I've already done one Tesco from quite a while ago. It's just I've got more now. But yeah, I've also... If you haven't seen my British Radiation collection one... oh no, stuff is that in Cyprus? Are you the one from Cyprus, if I remember right? Keeping you sane. I've done... This is included in both my British Radiation Detector sort of video, and it's included in the one I did just literally on this. Too Dumb to Die, I will be streaming tomorrow, probably, at a similar time. But yeah, I'll show you the inside if you stick around, Tesco, till I end the stream. I'll open all this up so you can see how these look on the inside. And thank you, Blake Arbello. He said, love the stream. Thank you very much. But yeah, these, what's quite interesting is if you take these apart side by side of the Radiacs, you can actually see how it's the same sort of internals, but, you know, these have more modern circuitry in. So, like, instead of massive old vacuum tube resistors inside, these just have, like, you know, little modern resistors. Like, if you buy, you know, anything with resistors in these days with circuit boards. Right, let me just turn this off a second so I don't give myself a nasty electric shock, because this is running at, like, 500 volts inside. If you ever shock yourself off of these or Geigers, they're very low amp, but high voltage shock. So, you know, it makes you go like that, but that's it. It's like if you get a DC shock. Right, so here's the modern circuitry to these. So this is your ionization chamber, the bit of the grid. So basically, that is the bit that detects radiation. This is instead of a Geiger-Müller tube. So a Geiger-Müller tube, for the people who want to see what's in a Geiger counter, I'll just quickly show you a Geiger-Müller tube. Here's a German one. They can be in various shapes, GM tubes, but GM tubes... cheers, Tesco. But yeah, this is just a Geiger-Müller tube. This is an ionization counter. Both detect radiation, they do it differently. I just thought I'd point that out because it's one of those things where people, unfortunately, you know, are always like, oh, this is called a Geiger count on the listing. It's not, but they are different. But so that's the ion chamber. That's the bit that detects radiation. Basically, it runs an electrical charge through it. How these work is basically the simple answer is because it's constantly got a charge going through it, because ionization of the air messes about with, you know, the charge, it causes, you know, the needle to do that a bit. It doesn't. Right. It doesn't cause the needle to do that a bit, but basically because the charge messes with the electrical flow, ionization can be detected due to, you know, messing about with the electrical thing. It doesn't count like a Geiger counter counts. There's your resistors, where the old ones had vacuum tube resistors. So what the resistors do is basically the radiation has to overcome the resistors to give a reading. But that's all your circuitry in it. Very, very simple compared to the old Radiacs, which have massive vacuum tubes and things that do the same things. But yeah, so what you can see there is the 3 connectors, where the Mark II Radiacs used to have the old weird obsolete battery connectors, because you'd have 2 cables going off of here, one for the lamp, one for the needle. But the Radiacs also had 3 different cables going off there to power different components. The nice thing is with these can also detect alpha radiation. So if you get, for example, a bit of radium and put radium or americinium from a smoke detector under it, the needles really move because of all the alpha decays it can detect, the helium atoms. That's cool, Gretchen. So yeah, if I turn this back on, you can hear the lovely whine coming from the ion chamber. Again, they put an electricity symbol on there in case you didn't know not to electrocute yourself. Oh, I think it's fixing itself now. Yeah, there we go. Opening the case has somehow fixed it. So yeah, see that? Now it's actually showing the correct voltage. Not voltage, but dose. Because, Jack, americinium is used in smoke detectors because americinium, what's the word for it? Americinium, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, the reason americinium is used is because americinium shoots a stream of alpha particles, helium atoms, you know, like electrons, into the ion chamber they're in, and when smoke gets in, it interrupts the flow, breaking the circuit, causing an alarm to go off. Right, I will do in a second, Eltrix. I'm just going to finish the stream. I just want to be careful playing about with this stuff. So what I'm going to demonstrate now is this giving a reading. So what I have in my hand, americinium from a smoke detector. I think, in America it's a federal crime to open smoke alarms and take these out. It's not in the UK. I'll just mention that now, in case some Americans on here think they want to do a cool science project. The FBI won't let you, I'm sorry. So what we're going to do now is watch this. If I can get it close enough. See that? I'm being careful not to electrocute myself, but yeah, that is just americinium from a smoke alarm because of all the alpha decays moving the ion chamber's needle. Americinium is mostly an alpha decay source. As much as you shouldn't hold it for a long time, it's not like a beta source like strontium-90. Yeah, science. So there you go. These still work. They seem to still work. Well, these versions do still work because they run off D cells, unlike the old ones. Cheers, Shrimp Zoo, will do. I'm watching a weapon collector stream in a bit, but yeah, I will watch that. I've got your channel bookmarks and all that anyway, but I definitely will do, but thank you, Shrimp Zoo. Yeah, I've got a load of Strontium-90, but we're not going to play with that today because I'm putting this away and I've had some beer, and I don't want to play with Strontium-90 once I've had beer because that might be a bad combination. But yes. So, for Tesco, who's still on? I don't know. Is this a Saul thing as in Breaking Bad? I don't actually know about this, but I hope you've learned how these work, so if you get them, you have a bit of an idea how they work. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you, everybody that's on. I'm just going to check Discord because it says I got some messages. Yeah, I'll be very drunk. But yeah, I'll screw that in after I finish the stream. But yeah, thank you. I'll check your messages, Outrix, and everything properly now. But thank you, everybody. It's been a good stream again. Hope you all stay safe and don't go crazy through quarantine. And I will see you all tomorrow at some point. So see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.